Hello everyone! Today is the third quarantine art project and it's going to be called the mood portrait. Hello! So I'm going to be showing you the technique I used to color in this portrait. The task is basically to draw a portrait. It doesn't have to be your portrait, it can be just an imaginary portrait, but it needs to show a certain mood. So this was the drawing that I made, and right now I will be showing you in detail the process of coloring in this illustration. So I actually traced this from an older drawing that I did in my sketchbook. So I just photographed a drawing in my sketchbook and imported it into the app. This is Adobe Fresco app, by the way. And then I traced over it. So you can see that I ended up with this traced drawing. And afterwards, because every art project that I set, I show you a different technique on Adobe Fresco. So for this one, I'm showing you a brush that I recently discovered for myself, and it's one of the live brushes on Adobe Fresco, and it's an oil paint short brush. And I'm just going to show you a little bit how it works. If I make a new layer, you will see that it's a really huge brush, like it's a really wide brush. But it works really amazingly well in the sense how it blends together. So all the oil brushes are supposed to work like real oil, and it's a little bit hard to explain it, but it depends how you use your stylus. So if you press really hard, you'll get a lot of color, but if you press really lightly, then it would actually blend the colors together. So you can create a really interesting color variation with this brush. And yeah, so it really works like an actual oil paint. I usually don't really like digital oil paints or any really fancy brushes, because they don't look very realistic. But I think that this brush in particular works really well, and I really enjoy the texture. So for this task, when I was preparing to do this tutorial, I was looking for a brush to use that looks like a realistic paint. And I think that this sort of brush was the best one that I found so far. So I will show you a little bit of how to create this sort of gradient and blended illustration. Okay, so I'm going to start with coloring in the face, and I usually just go for skin color first and just fill in the shape of the face and the neck, all the skin areas. And it's fine for this stage to have the paint go outside of the outline, because you can always use an eraser later on and you can fix it. Because the thing is with this brush that I found is it doesn't work as nicely when it's small. So I prefer to use it just in a big size as it comes, and then just erase the extra bits that I don't actually need. So you'll just go over the edges later after you've filled in the first layer, and you can always fix it and make it fit the outline. If you guys have any questions, then feel free to ask me. I can see the screen and I'm looking over at some points just to see if anyone is saying something. So if you don't know about the art challenge that I'm doing, it's called Quarantine Art Project, and you can tune in sort of every day or every couple of days, and you can try and do one of the prompts that I set, And then I have a sponsor now, which is the Brick Lane Gallery in London. In the end, they will choose one of the participators from the hashtag Draw with Anya, and the winner will get an exhibition in London. So one of the images will be exhibited in London, in their gallery on Brick Lane. So once you create the background, what I suggest you do is lock transparency. I use this function all the time because it's so useful. So you can lock wrong brush. You can lock transparency, and then you can add different shades. Because the theme is mood portrait, I'm using sort of cooler shades. And I really love how this brush mixes together, and I don't want it to be perfectly blended because I'm going for a sort of kind of like impressionist, I suppose you can say, way of applying paint if it was real oil paint. Yeah, so you can actually experiment and you can add more than one color to create some interesting shades and interesting effects. And I'm using the pencil really lightly, and that creates that sort of brush, kind of like paintbrush effect. Yeah. So I've got the face now, and now I'm going to fill in the hair. So the hair I'm going to do on another layer, just so that, like I showed you earlier, I can use the eraser later on and erase the parts that I don't need. If you do it all in one layer, it's going to be harder to erase. So when I'm creating an illustration, I usually try to have as many layers as possible. It just makes things much easier. So just going to clean it up a little bit, and then you will see the interesting kind of gradient effect that this brush creates. I'm not going to do it super precisely, just so that I don't take too long. But just going to clean it up a little bit. So we're in London, I'm in London, and we are still in lockdown, and now they're saying that it might last for 13 weeks. So that's 3 months in lockdown. So I think it's really important to just keep doing what you're doing and use this time not to panic, but to actually do something productive. Which was why I decided to do these lives. Okay, so now we will create, so I've locked transparency on this layer, and now I'm going to add this like interesting texture with this brush. I really like the fact how it blends together and the kind of painterly feel and texture that it creates. And I'm using cool shades because the mood, I mean, this is like a mermaid sort of character, and the mood is kind of calm but not very happy. So it's a bit of a colder kind of shades. So I'm going to post the new project prompt on my what's it called, feed. So if you missed the live, you can always catch up over there. And another thing that you can use is the blending modes for the layer. So because this is the mood that I'm going for is quite kind of dreamy, I want to make it a little bit more transparent, because then it's just a little bit more pastel-y, not so strong, and it fits the like style that I'm going for at the moment. Yeah, so we've got the hair, and next I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the flowers and the finer details. And basically the thing is with these flowers is because they're quite small, if I use this same brush, it basically will take me too long to clean it up afterwards. So I'm doing something different for this one. I'm going to just fill them in with any brush that you want, and then I will lock transparency and then add texture with a different oil brush in the end. So I'm just going to fill in the color quite quickly with, you can use any brush you like for this. And let me know where you are if you're watching, where are you from, and are you in lockdown or not? I think most of the world is at the moment. Yeah, so I'm in London, but originally I'm from Russia. Oh, you're in London as well. Yeah, London is in the lockdown. I tried to order some food and it's not possible at the moment. Oh wow, India. That's amazing. Everywhere is on lockdown. Right, so what we're doing is locking transparency, and now when you use this big brush on top, it's basically going to just fill it in and also create this sort of gradient effect. So it's a bit psychedelic. So it's sort of like a mask that you're creating. And again, I'm just going to make it a bit more transparent. And if you want to add more texture, you don't have to fill it in with the large brush all the time. You can use, sometimes I like to use a pencil just to add textures. So for example, for small details like an eyebrow, it could be quite nice to actually have some textured strokes. So eyebrow, I'm going to fill in just with a pencil brush. And let me know if you're using Adobe Fresco or not, because I know lots of people use Procreate. I never actually used Procreate. I got it when it first sort of came out, and I found I didn't like the interface so much. So I used Adobe products, Adobe Sketch and Adobe Draw, but they were obviously not very good. Like, you couldn't have many layers, and it had limited brushes and things like that. But the Fresco is really amazing, so if you haven't tried it yet, then do give it a go. And this is what I use from now on for everything, like for all the work that I do, even for publishers, children's books, and I really like it. So this is just like a nice way to create texture. You just do 2 different layers, and don't fill the first layer in completely, and then you will see through to the different layer. Okay, I'm going to do leaves next. So for the leaves, what I'd like to try is to fill it in with dark color first, and then put a lighter shade on top, so it will create an interesting kind of gradient effect. The good thing about using digital tools is that you can fix it. If you make a mistake or you go outside of the line, you can fix it straight away with a razor. So it's really good for commercial projects where you usually have to make changes. And it's good to be able to make these changes quick. So I'm gonna do these 2 leaves. So like I did with the flowers, I'm going to fill it in with just normal brush first. And then I'm going to add lighter color or lighter shade with the oil brush, which is a live brush. So live brushes are different from normal brushes because of the way they mix together. Like the watercolor brush, the colors really blend like real watercolor, and with the oil brush as well. But the normal brushes, they don't mix like that so much. If you put a different color on top, it will be just flat. So again, lock transparency, and then we're using oil paint short. And we can go for a lighter color, and you can see now how it blends, creates an interesting effect. And you kind of add more lightness or darkness the more you press on the iPad. And again, just gonna make it a bit more transparent so it's not that bright. And now let's do the rest of the flowers. So these flowers I'm just going to do with 1 brush. And then fix it because it's quite a lot of them here. So again, just filling it in first and then going to clean it up afterwards. So normally I would take more time doing this and do it a bit more carefully, but to make the life a little bit more like, I don't know, concise, I'm just going to do it a bit rougher. Yeah, so I'm going to post all of these tutorials on Instagram in the posts, and also I'm going to upload it onto my YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, then check it out. It's in the link in my bio. And let me know if how you're feeling with this whole situation. Are you nervous, or like, are you okay? And what sort of mood are you in these days? Okay. And now doing the gradient. So I think if you're not sure about which colors to use, it's a good idea to just look at the real world flowers, like real flowers. Or you can find some artworks with the color schemes that you like and also use the same color scheme. So going to do the leaves, and these ones I'm going to do with lighter green. Okay. So if you take part in the project, then the prize is you can basically win an exhibition of your work, the one that you enter into the competition, and it's going to be exhibited at the Brick Lane Gallery in London. And all you have to do is to follow my prompts. So the one for today is called the Mood Portrait, and it's basically to draw a portrait that expresses a certain mood or your mood at the moment. And it's something interesting to do, and you can win a prize. And yeah, you can tell your friends about it as well. This is quite a quick way to create something like a gradient. So I hope that you get the idea. Let me just collapse these layers, and I'm just going to show you the one I did earlier. Yeah, so with this one I took a bit more time, and I also, in the end, when I colored everything in, I've added some white lines, and I find that adding white kind of highlights, really brightens the image, and it's low battery. It makes it a little bit more lively and a little bit more interesting to look at. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I think I'm going to log off now, and I'm going to post this tutorial on my feed as well, so you can follow it if you like. And yeah, keep posted for the next art project, and I hope that you participate in this one. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna log off. Okay, bye for now.